Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Star Wars Wednesday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with Star Wars The Black Series, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious. Let's get into it! Let's begin our descent to the dark side with a look at the packaging. And here on the top we've got tape, a hook, a sliver of a window to let some light in from the top. Star Wars The Black Series on the front. Nice big window showcasing the figure, or at least most of him, and his accessories. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious. Assortment numbers. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. 4 and up Hasbro print on the bottom, small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode on this side. Nothing up here till you get right here. And continuing around from the front of the packaging, there's a stripe that continues upwards at an angle. Star Wars The Black Series on the bottom, and that stripe also continues around to the back side. On this side, nice artwork of Palpatine's office there in the background, and then Darth Sidious here in the foreground, Darth Sidious. And then on the back, Star Wars The Black Series, Darth Sidious. And we'll get to this in just a minute, but nice close-up artwork, or close-up of the artwork from the side. Then it says, the scheming Darth Sidious lived a double life as Palpatine, a Naboo senator, and Phantom Menace, who manipulated the Galactic Republic's political system until he was named Supreme Chancellor. There it is again in some other languages I don't read. He's 01 in the Revenge of the Sith subline. Attention, especially don't stick things in your French pie hole. Includes figure and 3 accessories. Warning, attention, Octung. Don't stick things in any language pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to baby, small, fine, legalese, made in China print, Disney print, a stamped-in number, and Hasbro print. That, my friends, completes our look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And here we have, first up, he does have a pair of Force lightning hands. And they seem to be molded in this translucent blue plastic, and then the flesh tones for the hands are paint apps, and you can see they kind of did a fade, at least on some of the fingers, and not so much on the underside on this one. Well, that finger, but nice molded details all around the lightning and the hand. And it is on an in and out hinge, but because, you know, he shoots it like this, I guess you could say it's an up and down hinge, but it is rather, because being made out of this translucent plastic, it is a bit flimsy. So something to be aware of. Not really a complaint, but just something to be aware of. This hand is mostly the same, just the opposite side. You can see there's a little bit more fading of the paint apps here on the underside of the fingers, and even a little more on the top as well for this one. Not so much for the thumb. That one looks really long, like they got too much paint on it. But I have to say, for the most part, it does look pretty good. And again, on that in and out hinge. Well, next up, let's take a look at his lightsaber. And we'll start with the blade. The blade's a nice translucent red, like all Sith lightsabers. And does seem to be appropriate length, appropriate width, that kind of stuff. One thing I don't like about it is for this release they've gone back to that really small peg with the ring on, you know, one end of it, and you know, over time if you remove the blade or put the blade in a lot, both, you know, it is eventually going to weaken and break, and then you're gonna have to glue it, and nobody really wants that. Now let's bring out the handy dandy tweezer so we can take a look at his hilt. And as you can see, it really only has 2 paint apps on it. Here, the gold at the bottom, and then the gold band near the top. And let me see if I can find that. Okay, so I did find it, and it didn't go far. So that was pretty cool. Not that I lost it, but that it didn't go far. Now the silver on this, originally I thought it was a paint app, but it is not. It's molded in this color. And I originally thought it was a paint app because you can't really see any of the swirly twirlies in there. So maybe that has something to do with the size of it. I'm not sure. But there it is. It's a nice looking piece. I don't actually think it's got enough gold paint apps on it though. I think Sidious's lightsaber had a little bit more deco to it. Now let's take a look at the figure himself, if I can keep hold of it. And the majority of this guy is covered in the soft goods, and we'll talk about the soft goods in a minute. And as far as his face goes, I think that's dang near perfect for Darth Sidious. Of course, we can't see everything because it is under this hard hood. And I'm kind of glad that they went this way with it, even though it makes it hard to, you know, make him look this way and that and take a good look at the rest of the head. You know, it's hard to get a soft goods, even a wired one, to lay like this. Now it's easier for a wired one than a non-wired one, but it's still, to get it just right the way you want it, it takes a long time. And I know that from replacing The Mandalorian Season 2 Luke Skywalker Imperial Light Cruiser, whatever he was called, with a soft goods, a wired soft goods cape, rather. It did come with a soft goods cloak, but I replaced it with a wired cloak, and it did take me a good 30, 45, maybe an hour to just fiddle with the hood and make it get to where I want it. So, you know, I'm not super upset over this hood, and I just wish you could see more details of the face, but because of the way the hood is supposed to lay, you really can't. Now, one thing I will say about this, it's glued in right here, and it's supposed to be glued in back here as well. However, I don't know if the glue just didn't take on mine, but there's how it glues in. And I can't really, you know, I'm afraid it's going to cause some issues up here. This is why I don't pull it all the way forward like it's supposed to be. But you can see that it is also holding the cloaks into place. And I say cloaks because there's this piece and then this piece. And again, like the eyes, around the eyes, just this sculpt in general. Now, I think there might be a little bit of a wash, or maybe it has to do with printing. I'm not sure, but some of the details in there are painted like it's a wash, just to help them stand out a little bit. And I'm glad they did that, because, you know, that's a really important feature for this character. Now let's talk about the soft goods for a minute. Oh, there's a paint app right there, if I didn't say that already. And the neck, and it is on, it looks like it's on a dumbbell, even though you're not going to be able to do much with it. So some paint apps right in here for the neck, the undercloak, the overcloak, and I'm talking about the not soft goods parts. and this piece right here, the clasp at the hood. This piece of soft goods, I'm not so impressed with this. This one is better. I won't necessarily say I'm impressed with it, but it is better. It moves pretty good. It is kind of elasticy here at the cuffs for the wrist, so that's pretty cool. Now let's talk about his articulation, or at least what you can do with it with the soft goods on, since the soft goods are not removable. Well, I guess you could, but you might have messed something up. So anyway, not intended to be removed. So really not a whole lot you can do with his head because of the hood. We've already kind of touched on that. At the shoulder, not quite a 90-degree bend at the shoulder, and it will rotate all the way around, except it gets caught up in the soft goods. So there's that. Also, there's a single hinge and swivel like most Black Series figures, and it gives you that much bend, so that's pretty good. And again, as far as the swivel, you know, the soft goods do hinder that somewhat. Now, there's nothing in the torso until you get to the waist, and he's got a ball joint in the waist, so he's got all that hula motion. He can lean left and right, back that far, and forward that far. The soft goods don't seem to hinder that much. So also he does get, well, let's just move it out of the way a little bit so we can take a look. So he also does have a 360-degree rotation there as well. At the hips, no pull down. Wasn't really expecting one. He can give you that much of the splits if the soft goods are up, and of course with the soft goods he's not going to get anywhere near that. Same with kicking forward. He kicks forward that far, and backwards barely any at all. There is a cut at the upper thigh for a full 360 degrees worth of rotation. And then single hinge and swivel at the knee, swivels around 360 degrees and gives you better than 90 degrees worth of bend. So that's cool. Then at the ankles, tilts down that far, tilts up that far. And he does have forward facing pins for rocker. Now, like I said, you're not going to get all that range with the soft goods down, you know, only about that much. And kicking forward about, well, it'll probably do a little better than that. So he can still kick pretty good, but not much of the splits with the soft goods in place. So there's that. And as far as replacing the hands, of course, you just pull these off and pop the other ones in. And where's his lightsaber? And of course he can hold his lightsaber. And that, my friends, does it for a look at the figure and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have Star Wars The Black Series Revenge of the Sith Darth Sidious with Star Wars The Black Series Archive Edition Emperor Palpatine, Darth Maul from the San Diego Comic-Con Star Wars The Black Series Darth Maul and Sith Speeder 2-pack, Star Wars The Black Series Episode 2 Count Dooku or Darth Tyrannus, and Star Wars The Black Series Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary Darth Vader. For our final set of comparisons, here we have Star Wars The Black Series Revenge of the Sith Darth Sidious, with, from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee from G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander from Star Wars The Black Series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For our final thoughts on Star Wars The Black Series, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious. It's been a long time coming that we got a Darth Sidious. For just a character, Darth Sidious, for any of the prequels. And while this is not the first one I would have chosen from Revenge of the Sith, you know, where he's wearing this is a pretty pivotal part of the movie where he's, you know, he's fighting Yoda. And, you know, it's articulated well. The range of movement is fairly decent. Well, it's pretty good for the amount of soft goods that he's wearing. The soft goods do hinder him on some of his range of motion. I would have liked maybe a butterfly hinge in the shoulder. That would have been a little better. A little more deco on his lightsaber hilt, I think, would have been appropriate for this version of the character as well. Well, any version of Darth Sidious that comes with his lightsaber, you know, a little more deco on the lightsaber. But especially, I think it really should have been concentrated on, for this particular figure, seeing as how, you know, the main focus of this version of Darth Sidious was his battle with Yoda. Now, my first choice for a Revenge of the Sith Darth Sidious would have been in the previous battle. You know, he's talking to Anakin, and then, you know, the Jedi come to arrest him, and he just kicks their butts except for Mace Windu. And that would have been my first choice for Darth Sidious from Revenge of the Sith. And, you know, of course, it wouldn't have been hooded. It would have come with an alternate head, the regular Palpatine head, or the, you know, marred by Force lightning head that this one has. And so now that they have this Darth Sidious head, maybe they'll go back and do that one, I hope, because I think that's the more pivotal scene in the movie and the more important version of the character, to where, you know, he is revealed to the Jedi. But that's just my opinion. Your mileage, of course, may vary. This may be your favorite version of Darth Sidious. Now, as far as this one goes, the soft goods they're okay. They're not bad. Now, the top piece, I don't care for it too much. I don't think it doesn't feel the same quality as the rest of the soft goods on the figure. And like I said before, it does hinder some of the range of motion, not necessarily the articulation, but it does limit some of the range of motion for the figure. There's some nice sculpting under those soft goods as well, which they really didn't have to do, but they did. Now, one thing I will say, and I don't know, maybe this is might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm glad that they did the hood as, you know, a solid piece rather than making it soft goods. I think it works for the character a lot better than having the soft goods, and it may lay right, it might not, it might get messed up in packaging. And so I think it was a good decision on their part for the character, not necessarily for the figure, but for the character. And you really you want that look to the hood for this character. And overall, I like it. I do feel like it's a good entry for a Revenge of the Sith Palpatine or Darth Sidious, because it does, you know, that fight with Yoda is a very important part of the movie. Just, in my opinion, not as important as the other. But now they have that Darth Sidious head, and they can go back and make the version from the previous fight with the Jedi scene, and it can have this head and the Supreme Chancellor Palpatine head. At least that's what I would like to see happen. Now, whether that's what happens or not, we'll see. But again, overall, I like this. That might not be the popular opinion, but you know, Darth Sidious has been a long time coming. I'm glad that they did go the soft goods route with this figure rather than doing it all in, you know, flexible or semi-flexible plastics. That would have limited the range of motion a lot worse, I think. And I don't think it would have given quite as good a look. I think the mixture that they did here between soft goods for the robe and plastic for the hood, I think it really works well. Even though the hood does limit the range of movement in the neck and head severely to almost zero. And then again, I'm going to touch on, you know, my biggest minus for this figure is I just don't think there's enough deco on his lightsaber hilt. I think it had a little more gold to it than what they put on it. So maybe in the next Darth Sidious release they'll correct that. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help channel grow, or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.